you'll play poker, let's say for 5 hours, and you could have the amount of experiences in a 5-hour session when it comes to learning about your instincts, learning about how to read people, learning how to bet on yourself, how to let go of something that you're really holding on to and committed to pursuing. Also how to like feel the shame of making a mistake. Like you have all of these experiences and feelings that you get to practice in a 5-hour session that you might not experience in an entire year or more.
That's right.
In life.
You have found us. Congratulations. You found SmarterUmedia, the only place on the interweb guaranteeing to make you smarter in 2 minutes. Many of you know that I created the World Poker Tour, put poker on television, and launched this crazy global poker boom. One of the best things about that is what I like to call for the Aussies, the boomerang effect. And that is when you throw the thing out there, amazing things come back. And we are wildly honored today to have Lynn Gilmartin, who for 12 years has been the face, the host of the World Poker Tour, bringing poker quite literally across the globe. Lynn Gilmartin, welcome to SmarterUmedia.
Oh, I am so honored to be here, Steve. Thank you for having me.
It's kind of fun, the boomerang effect. You know,
I love that. That was very clever.
Aussie reference. Thank you.
So on brand.
Will you just keep calling me clever as we go through this entire thing? I think that'll just really help me out a lot.
Deal. Done.
We take no time. We have brought wisdom with you, and we plan to take full advantage of it. So 2 minutes sits on our friend, the chicken timer. No intimidation, but those eyes to me are a little beady, don't you think?
They look ready to listen. So.
They are ready to listen. That's exactly right. Lynn Gilmartin, please make me smarter.
Okay. So, well, I'm an actor, I'm a poker player, and I'm a TV host. And all three of those roles in my life involve storytelling and telling a message to an audience. And it's actually something that all of us do in every day of our life, right? We're telling stories, we're communicating with people, we always have an audience, whether it's one person or a million. And I want to apply what I have learned for someone who's listening to potentially help them, you know, if you're giving a presentation in class or you're pitching an idea to your boss. There are some tools that you can have that can help you in these moments that can be quite intimidating. Now, it's so important to be prepared. And, you know, in acting, we have our script. Or in poker, we have strategy, we have bet sizing, we have all these mechanics of the game. Right. But if our truth behind what we are saying is not in alignment and we don't have our thoughts lined up with what we're actually saying, something's off. And it doesn't land the way we want to communicate it. And this is what we call micro expressions, right? Our thoughts are so much more important than actually what it is that we are saying, than the words that we are saying. And that's because they set the tone of our micro expressions. Like it can be the tiniest little shifts in our face, it can be our body language, and it can be the tone of our voice. And so a hack that really basically you want to be telling the truth, obviously, right? And that is the easiest cheat, and that's what we want to get to. But when we're in moments that are scary, like a room full of people staring at you, waiting for you to speak, or your boss who can be intimidating, the thoughts that can get in the way can be things like, I can't believe I'm wearing this shirt. Oh, I don't want to take up this person's time. All of these insecure thoughts, which is totally normal and totally fine. Oh, look at that. It's already been 2 minutes. I'm going way over.
You know what? It's so compelling. The chicken timer has allotted you infinity of time. So continue on your beautiful track.
I've grabbed his attention. So a little cheat that I was given. So, you know, we can get the thoughts that can get in the way of the radar, of the human's internal compass, where something isn't lined up, isn't necessarily that you're not telling the truth. You could be pitching something that you fully believe in, but when your thoughts are so distracted by all of these insecure thoughts of worry about yourself, having little tools to keep your mind in check and on a leash is very helpful. And so what my acting coach, Leslie Kahn, she would teach us in class. We would have our script and we would have the dialogue. And of course, we have to rehearse and memorize all the lines. She would have us write the character thoughts at every piece of punctuation. And we would have to also remember the thoughts that our character would be having before saying each piece of dialogue.
Fascinating.
It was profound. We would play around with this in class. It was profound how much it would change the way something was delivered. Like she would stop someone in the middle of a scene and be like, "You're thinking about your lunch. You're not thinking about what's happening right here. I can see you're thinking about lunch." And she would say, "Think about how beautiful the color red that this girl is wearing is before you say you look great." And the way that would change the delivery of the line was amazing. So if you are in a moment where you are presenting something, you're pitching an idea, just have just a baseline kind of mantra, a baseline anchor for yourself to bring your focus back to your audience, away from yourself, because all of those insecure thoughts start with I, don't they? You want to make sure your audience is the priority to you. So you want to keep thinking, you are going to love this. This is exactly what you need. This is going to solve all your problems. Lines like that, if you just keep thinking that as you're speaking your words, it will change everything about how your body and your voice delivers what you're saying.
I love it. And I'm going to out you immediately because I know you and I love you that much. I could do that, right?
Right.
One of the true things that I think makes you you and wonderful you. I'll start singing like I did at our gratitude dinner. Watch out. Is that feeling that when you talk to me, when you talk to someone, you feel like you're there. And you have just disclosed on open internet that that's something you trained to do. And it's really transformative when it comes to any dialogue that someone has with you.
Yeah, thank you. And it is something I've had to learn. It's listening. It's such an important piece of being a human that goes unspoken of. It should be lesson number 1 in the practice of being alive, is learning how to listen. We're so focused on, oh, you got to be clever, you got to be funny, you got to say the right thing. No, actually, some of the best conversations that we will have with people, sometimes that person didn't even say anything. They just made you feel heard and actually heard you. And that is such a rare gift. And I had to learn how to listen. Growing up, I didn't realize, I didn't even know how to listen. You get so distracted by yourself, like, oh, what do I say here? Sometimes the best thing to say is nothing. And then that also allows to give you the space for truth to arise, because this is not in the way. The more that we can quieten this, it allows your heart to speak and your soul to speak and to actually be there with the person who you're talking with.
I will tell you, the favorite moment for your 2 minutes was when you talked about the important thing was to tell the truth. And here's the way to cheat to tell the truth.
Well, that's another conversation, isn't it? Because
I think that's where we are, Lynn. I think we're in that other conversation right now. I love that you take poker, you take acting, and you take life, and you wrap them all, well, hosting, but I'm going to put that in acting, and you wrap that into the life conversation, because so often, as you said, we are not read the way that we want to be read, even if we think we are. So you can go into a room and, as you said, your lunch, you're thinking about what you're going to have, what you did have, or something else. And those micro signals that you send off to people completely make that into what can be an awful experience. I mean, you can literally transform it into something where you walk away shaking your head and think, how could that have gone so wrong? Right.
And we often feel that way as a receiver, we can't quite put our finger on, why did that feel off? Why did my cup not feel full by that conversation? And often it's because both parties are not actually present in the conversation.
Yeah. I've had a lot of those conversations, and I'm to blame plenty of times,
Of
right?
course. Me too.
Is there some example that you can think of? Are there conversations that you used as models in your life to say, oh, yeah, here's that one that was big enough for me to remember it in my life, and I wasn't there. And if I had shown up in a different way, maybe it could have been different.
Oh, that's a good question. I can't think of a particular conversation, but it was a wonderful piece of advice I got at work when I was early. It was the early days of the World Poker Tour, and I'd be interviewing a lot of players, and I remember being told, when you ask a question, because as a host you feel this responsibility to control the conversation. It is your responsibility to control the conversation, right. And you then with that feel a pressure to fill space. And I wish I remember who told me this. I think it was one of the producers had said, after you ask a question and they give the first answer, just hold a beat before following up, because it's in that little space there that then the interviewee feels that then they need to fill it, right? And actually more truth comes out in that moment, and they speak more rather than that kind of like rehearsed piece or and it was that kind of helped me shift a little bit of, okay, I don't need to keep filling space. Allowing space is powerful, and it adds more listening, and it allows more to come up. Yeah.
And that translates directly into your life.
Yes.
The times when why is it harder to talk to your mate, to your partner, to your family than anybody else in the world? I can only imagine it's because of stakes. Stakes are just higher, I guess, right? But how many times do you have that feeling of pressure in the room with the people you love where you should just shut up and let it go, right? Yeah.
And that's where that training is so helpful. We're so reactive, we're so triggered, we have our buttons, everyone does. We wouldn't be human if we didn't. And we're so quick to fire sometimes in a response, in a possibly triggering conversation or a personal conversation. When the stakes are high, we get reactive. And if we really practice the art of pausing and being comfortable with taking a beat, it's amazing how much we can actually then reflect. Am I just reacting here like my 6-year-old self, or am I actually having a productive conversation right now as my 41-year-old self? Which one is here right now?
Yeah. Well, I will tell you, they're both there all the time, every time, but you get a chance to decide which one speaks at any particular. I mean, I think that's the truth at some level.
For sure. We just got to put all the children in the back seat and make sure the adult always has the driver's, the steering wheel, but it's not always the case.
Yeah. And sometimes you want to let the kids drive because that's fun too, but that's a different thing. I really didn't do a long introduction to Lynn Gilmartin because maybe you're that person who does not need an introduction, or honestly, because I want to take some time to go through that story while we talk, because so many people in the world today think of themselves as content creators or aspire to be content creators and want to be a part of creating that economy. You have a route that went from going out, getting going, and you worked for Poker News, you worked for Poker Stars, you got yourself and your face and honestly your personality out there. That is incredibly entrepreneurial to me. People like to think, oh, look, we have 5 big dudes, and unfortunately they're all men these days, that we look at and think those are the entrepreneurs. But I think the answer is everybody is, and we are in different ways. You're a great example. Will you take me through that story a little bit that got you into a place where 12 years in now, you are representing one of the largest global brands in a very large marketplace?
Thank you. Wow, that was such a beautiful thing to say. Thank you so much. I mean, I feel like we're all fumbling through life, figuring it out as we go, day by day. I came into the poker world. I studied business. I majored in marketing in college, in university, call it in Australia, and and my first job out of uni was at Crown Casino in Melbourne. And I knew nothing about the casino world. And I very quickly learned that poker was the fun department and I wanted to work over there.
Of course.
And I think that was an indicator too of the way I made my decisions. I wanted to work where I felt I was having the most fun, the most fulfilled, that I felt that was most aligned with what felt right and true to how I wanted to live, and around people that I feel good around, not just how things look on paper. And that's always been the way I've made my decisions. And, when I was working in poker, this was back in Crown, this was back in 2006, when the idea of making videos for the internet was what?
That didn't exist. That's right.
No.
That's right.
And my boss at the time, she was ahead of the game and she wanted to, Poker News did exist then, and they were coming and they were reporting on the big international events, but she wanted to do the same thing for local events. And so as a child actor that had decided to give up on that career, I got rerouted right back to the performing, and I was like, I'll interview the players who come in. And that's how I started. And I loved it. I felt the feeling. I felt how it lit me up. And I just knew this is the path I need to go back towards. I let go of it out of fear as a child, of the performing, because I fell over on stage, but that's another story. And I just knew that felt right. And so then when a chance came up to quit this corporate career that I had, that looked fantastic on paper, you could see the path ahead.
Right.
I could climb the ladder. It was, the global financial crisis, all of the stories. This is in 2009. I had this opportunity to quit that job, the security of it, and go and work for Poker News, hop on a flight to Las Vegas at 24 years old. I'd never been to the United States, and make videos for the internet about a game you've never played. And I just said, yep, that's exactly what I'm going to do, because that feels amazing. That's fun. It's exciting. And that's just how I've always navigated my path, and trusting.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to highlight a couple of things, because I think it doesn't always work out. This is one we're going to go poker metaphor all the time. We're going to do that all the time, but you do have to take a risk, and it doesn't always work out, but you're still never going to win the tournament if you don't take the risk. And you can always go back and enter in a different day, different tournament along the way. But you did dare to take a risk. And I always laughingly say about myself, every life decision I made in my young life was a terrible financial decision. It was a disaster. It was the thing that people would look at and go, never do that. But I just kept plodding along. So that's one. You did, dare to take the risk, but the people stuff is really profound. There are plenty of books written about it, but Revenge of the Tipping Point is the most recent one, with Malcolm Gladwell talking about this in a way that I hadn't heard it discussed. And essentially, he used data, because he's a data guy, talking about doctors in different places in the United States. And profoundly, how they practiced medicine was determined by where they went, because we are all determined by the people we are surrounded by. So if you want to be something, find the people who are there doing that, go there, and you will become that, whether you like it or not. So if you wind up being around the horrible people, at some point you look in the mirror and go, how did I get so mean? That's how you got so mean. So I'm going to highlight that too, because I think the choice to go with the quote fun department, and by the way, I'll take full credit. That was because there was a fun department for poker in Australia, because a few years earlier, 5 years earlier, we did what we did. That's why that stuff was there. Isn't that awesome?
It's so awesome. It's and I just love looking back and and because of a decision that you made and a vision that you had, look at how many lives you've changed. Like you without we hadn't even met before, but because you took that chance in yourself and also built a company with good people,
yeah,
it has transformed my life decades, like continually for decades later, and the ripple effect that we can have by taking risks, taking chances on ourselves, choosing to surround ourselves with good people and be a good person, it changes the world one person at a time. So thank you, Steve.
I think, was I digging for that? I was fishing. I caught a fish. I got one. I got one. There's one on the line. I got her.
It's the truth.
I'm going to go back to the micro ticks, the things we call them tells sometime. It's really fun that the vernacular of the poker world has expanded throughout the globe. When Casino Royale had Texas Hold'em in it for a Bond movie, we felt like we had a profound effect. But all of the things we talk about when it comes to metaphor and poker have made it everywhere. One of those is tells, and what you're talking about are tells. And if I look at the science, which I am a science wonk, so I do this sort of stuff, they tell us that we really almost always misread people. That's what the scientists tell us. And yet still in poker, we talk about how that's what it's all about, are reading the people. So talk to me about reading the people in poker and in life.
Yeah, again, it's about paying attention. It's allowing that space to listen. It's a form of listening. You're paying, not necessarily in spoken conversation, but paying attention to all of the other 8 people at your table, what they do in certain moments, how their body language looks, how their breathing looks. These are all of the things that you need to pay attention to understand and to gather as much information as you can, because you have so much incomplete information in every hand that you play. So all of this helps contribute later on to you making your decisions. And it helps you practice. And this is why the game of poker is so valuable. You have this rehearsal space to put into practice what it feels like to make a decision that might actually go against what your head is saying, because your gut is telling you something else because of something that you saw earlier. And it doesn't necessarily make mathematical sense, but I just know that they don't have it. I need to call here. All of the charts would say fold, but I have to call. And the feeling, you learn every single hand that you play. You learn a lesson. You could have been right there, and then you get to get comfortable and familiar with that feeling. Like, wow, my instincts were right. And you know what this starts to feel like. Also, you can be wrong. And wow, what was that? So you're always dancing with your internal world. And what was I projecting? I was completely projecting onto that person something that was totally wrong. I was so convinced they didn't have it and they had the nuts, and this is happening constantly. And you'll play poker, let's say for 5 hours, and you could have the amount of experiences in a 5-hour session when it comes to learning about your instincts, learning about how to read people, learning how to bet on yourself, how to let go of something that you're really holding on to and committed to pursuing. Also how to feel the shame of making a mistake. Like, you have all of these experiences and feelings that you get to practice in a 5-hour session that you might not experience in an entire year or more.
That's right.
In life. And it makes you build so much resilience. It helps you tune into yourself, to other people. And you can take that anywhere. It's amazing.
And this comes from someone who just a moment ago said that she had not played the game, but you have now.
Yeah, now.
You now kick my ass every time we're in a tournament. I mean, I won't even make last longer bets with Lynn Gilmartin, because I have no chance at all, nor do I probably have the patience to play in poker tournaments. But it's good to be behind the camera.
It's so fun.
But I think that's really an incredible thing. It is hypersensitive. It's compacted into this short period of time so that you have decision after decision after decision. And that's kind of why I think of poker, and I love how people want to talk about this forever, but poker being a sport, I think of it as a remarkably grueling sport. If you can play in a 5-day event, 8+ hours a day, when everything rides on every hand potentially, that's an endurance test.
It is. It is absolutely an endurance challenge. We're using the same tools as say blackjack, but it's a chess game. It's a strategy game. There's so much behind what you see, and that's why it's such a successful game to have on television. Like, that's what you saw. You're not showing. It's not poker hands that you saw. Let's put that on TV. It's people's decision making process. It's watching people think. That's what you put on TV, and that's what everyone loves to watch. These high stakes moments and playing along like, oh, what would I do here? How are they thinking that? What are they thinking? It's all about what the people are thinking and watching people make these decisions when they don't have all the information and how it's done. And it's just amazing.
One of the largest world chess organizations came to me and asked how to make it into the thing, because poker had become the thing. And we looked at it and I said, can you tell me there's a luck element involved? And the answer is not really. I mean, if I play a certain number of games, then I can tell you pretty much who's going to win. And that's just not as interesting. I mean, like life, if we're talking metaphor in life, how luck fits in to the poker equation is much more like all the Greek myths told us the world is. It's just much more like it. And that's so appealing when we're watching someone who has no idea in their canoe that is actually a couple of cards and they're going over the waterfall. That's great television, or streaming, really, or whatever you do.
And because we can all relate to it, and having that practice as well of things not going your way, even though you played perfectly, you did everything right. And sometimes it just doesn't work out, and it helps you build that resilience and not get so attached to outcomes and just take a chance. And all you can control is what you can control, and you cannot control what card comes next. And
I can. Well, I can, because we it's all produced from back. It's but generally you're right. Generally, most people that's the state of the universe. Well, speaking of hands, what hand do you play when you shouldn't play it the most? There's one. I mean, I know what mine is. I'll confess, but we're in true confession poker moment now. There's a hand that when you play, it comes up and you go, oh, yeah, that's my hand. What is it?
Ace deuce suited. I love it.
Ace deuce suited.
I love it.
That's much better than mine. By the way, that's much better as usual. That's why you again. So mine is, you could probably even guess how bad mine is. Jack 8. I don't know why.
That's a messy one.
It's a Jack 8 comes and I think that's my hand. That's my guy. Welcome to the party, buddy. Welcome to Jack 8. Let's play. And it's not because I've won a lot of hands or a lot of chips with Jack 8. For some reason, I'm charmed by Jack 8. Don't know what to tell you.
We all really do have it, don't we? I do feel that way about Jack 10. I feel like it hits every time. It will touch something on the board every time.
Well, I think there must be things like that in our lives too, So there certainly are just things we have a bias for, whether it's Mexican food. Oh, I love tacos. Oh,
so good. Mean,
too much. Favorite food?
I actually love Mediterranean food.
Yeah, well.
Like a good Greek salad with the feta cheese and the herbs. Oh.
There you are. See, the Mediterranean diet's better for you. I mean, I'm going to stop asking questions because you're going to win every time. You don't have to win all of them. You don't have to win every hand to win this tournament, Lynn Gilmartin. Okay? You don't have to.
Look, I'm okay with losing, but it just doesn't happen much, Steve.
Uh, I do believe that. I mean, life is charmed. I feel like I am the luckiest human on the planet. You and I have talked
Me
about this
too.
before. I feel like we just, have so much. And one of the things that you and I have both done and that I think really adds to the entire equation is really caring about finding a way to help other people. You've done a lot of work with charities. You are particularly involved in
The Australia Zoo
yes.
and the Currumbin Wildlife Sanctuary. They're both in Australia. Yeah, I feel like humans, forget that we share the planet with other living beings and can be quite, a lot of the decision making that humans have made make it very difficult for other species to live in their home. And I think we need to take way more responsibility for humans as a species and do our bit. That whatever it is that we can, whether it's time, whether it's money, whether it's transforming your backyard in a way that makes it, more accommodating for wildlife in your area. I do think if everyone just did a little bit, the world would be a much nicer place. Again, it's like coming out of here and coming back into the body, and just we're so busy and distracted and stressed and worried about stuff and distracted by this. And when we zoom out a little and look at the bigger picture, just helps make the small stuff a lot smaller.
Yeah. And it is a truism, I believe. It's a truism that all things that get done in any way are a collection of people, animals as well, but people who are doing something. And no matter what you're doing, I am a big believer you ought to be doing something. And that is how things happen. Everything that's ever been changed was changed and started with a small group of people who started changing it. Everything.
Yeah, everything. That's why. Yeah, I also love. I mean, my resource that I want to suggest is Gabor Mate. I love everything that he teaches, and he has a book, The Myth of Normal, and basically what he's teaching. The book that moved me the most as a mother is Hold On to Your Kids, and what he teaches is just because something is common doesn't mean it's normal, and to question everything, and that there is so powerful as an individual to feel like and remember that we actually have a lot more agency over the choices that we make, and just because everyone else is doing something, it doesn't mean you need to if it doesn't feel right, and to start questioning, like,
it can be the exact opposite. So often. I mean, if it's the groupthink, we know that theory is if you put enough people together, they will make the worst decision every time. Right? I mean, that's just one of those things we experiment with and go, oh, yeah, it happened again. Oh, there it happened again. And this dovetails right back into some of the things you were talking about earlier, which is that thing we find in poker, but in life too, where we're going to make our choices. We have to make our choices. They're going to work. They're not going to work, but we get better at it, we think, and we hope. And as we get better at it, we think, and we hope, then we find our way in a more meaningful journey.
Absolutely.
Aren't you amazed when you walk into a poker room, and you've been at this for a long time? So if you go back to the early days of the Crown Casino, then we're talking decades that you've been around all these people. I have too, yet I walk into a poker room and I still marvel at how many different people from different walks of life, from different belief systems, from different races, creeds, whatever, are all gathered together to do this thing together.
Yeah, it's amazing. And they're all there believing in themselves, taking a chance on themselves. And what other moment in life do you get a chance to sit at a table for 8 hours with a kid who's never had a job because he's been making six figures since he was 16 years old, playing poker, and a mom of four, and some billionaire over here, and a farmer from Texas, and just this such diverse group of people playing the same game. That's a game that's a reflection of life. It's just magic. It has been such a gift to my life, and I truly attribute every poker room that I go into and having that experience and having that access to a diverse group of people all the time, and to have all of these experiences and observations and witness life-changing moments and witness the heartbreak and the shame of making mistakes. And we're all experiencing the same roller coaster. We're all trying our best, and we're all human, and we all think differently, and that's okay. And it has brought a lot of treasures to my life. I could just preach about the game of poker for days.
Well, I know, and that is what we do. I'll tell you, having just been with you, and we were at the World Poker Tour Championships, where nearly 10,000 people came and played in the Prime event. That is, for someone, when the World Poker Tour started, the biggest event in the world had something like 500 people in it.
Wow.
And the transformation into global markets, which also didn't exist. Wait, I'm going to just stop, and I'm going to ask you this question. When you were a child, did you play poker in Australia?
No.
There was no poker. I mean, when we were trying to make the World Poker Tour a world poker tour, we had to really search to find anywhere we could find an international place, because it just didn't exist. And now when you go to, what was 70, and I think there are 30 festivals this year, something like that, when you go to all those events, they're all over the world. What has your trek been like in the last year or so? Where have you gone?
It's been amazing. Just this last year, I mean, now that I'm a mom, I don't travel as much as I used to. But for example, I was in Cambodia. I played in Cambodia and Taiwan this year. But in Cambodia in particular, it is the most diverse field that exists in poker.
Wow.
Not one nation is represented more than 10%. So at my table, I had 11 different countries represented at my single table. People from Europe, Asia, Australia, the States, South America, you name it. They were there.
Wow.
And it's so fun. Like, it was just, because usually on a poker event, the local, wherever it is that you are, it's the locals that dominate. And then you've got some international people sprinkled in there. And it's a mixed field. But that was cool. That was really cool that there were 10 different accents at the table. It's magic.
I love that. Going to have to go to the Cambodia event. That sounds magic. I've always wanted to go to Cambodia. I've never gone. But
it's a really cool place. I actually didn't get to explore much because I did pretty well in the poker tournament and I came 31st. So I was busy
like I
playing
said,
cards.
she's much better at poker than I am. braggy, 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 brag. I'm going to track back again to the poker of business, because the kinds of things that you did early on in terms of saying yes, and you talked a little bit about this when they came to you and said, we need somebody to do this thing that was not what you thought you were doing, was not what you thought you would be assigned to do. But yet they came to you with the opportunity to interview players at the Crown Casino. You said one magic word. You said yes.
Yes.
I get the feeling you've done that many other times. Track back, show me the places where, and you said to leave the Crown Casino and go to Poker News. That was one of those huge changes in life. And you said yes, but it seems like you keep doing that.
Yeah, I do. I do keep doing that. I do feel that a big magnet for opportunities to come into your world, though, is the important part is being in a place of deep gratitude of where you already are. And that, when I look at the trajectory of my career, every time I was really, truly rooted in a place of loving what I'm doing, there's something about that that opens up the world of opportunity for you, that then, you know, the next thing comes and the next thing comes. It feels like a no-brainer and it feels very easy to say yes to.
Yeah.
When we are coming from a place of dissatisfaction of where we are necessarily, or not seeing or not making the best of what it is in our current situation, and where we think the grass is greener over there and we're kind of trying to push for something over there, I feel like we're getting in our own way. And that's when those opportunities to say yes don't present themselves.
That's lovely. I thank you for bringing that into the mix, because so often we look back ex post facto and we imagine that the world had to be the way that the world was. But it really is true that you will be presented with opportunities by the people around you if you engage with them, if you're enthusiastic about what you do, and you are contributing in a meaningful way. Then people want to find things that advance your world.
Yeah, people want to work with good people, and just being the best version of yourself that you can be, and being a team player, not trying to step on other people for your own gain, things like that, like just really working in harmony with your environment is always going to reap the rewards. It's always going, even though it might feel, I just feel like we're so, we can fall into this trap that we need to compete and fight for the attention and the best mark and the best score. But like, there's a certain messaging there in life, but really, if you're just, in harmony with your environment, people are just going to want you there. And like you said, find a way to ensure that happens. And
people will want you there. They'll also want you to have a life that flourishes. And one of the things, Adam, the current CEO, sounds like we're firing him, the CEO of the World Poker Tour, who's been there forever since I left. But we talk a lot about about that piece of it. And that is, if someone that we love and who's in our world gets a great opportunity, we never begrudge them that. We always want them to go and flourish. And if they believe that's in another place, then we want to encourage that. And that creates an extended family. And we had this gratitude dinner the other night that was a great indication of how that doesn't just stay within your family, but the WPT family and the people who have left spread that gospel so far and wide that there's an understanding that we're all somewhat and completely combined, whether we like it or not.
Yeah. And that's why I'm not going anywhere, because I feel so loved and seen and heard and welcome. And that's just who I want to be around all the time. Like, Adam is my son's guide father. I call him his guide father. And my husband works with the World Poker Tour now. Like, it really is a family. And, you know, he hosts the World Poker Tour in Spanish in Mexico. And it's just a wonderful environment because, you know, where you work is so important. It's many hours of your week are spent in the workplace, whether if it's your own business that you're building, or for someone else that you're working with. The people are the most important part of any business.
Yeah. Well, hands down. They are the business. I mean, this is truly one of those things that it's just not a question. Every enterprise that exists is really a combination of people, and we can blame things on a corporate structure. We can say, well, there's nothing I can do because the shareholders, or there's nothing I can do because the board, and those mechanisms are used all the time, I think, to hide behind. But at the end of the day, these are people who are making decisions in enterprises, and they represent, for the better or the worst, what it is that we as humans are all the time.
Yeah.
I have a weird question. Are you ready?
Okay.
Totally weird question. I don't
I'm
know
leaning in.
why. All right. You should lean into this one because you're going to go, oh my God. As you're talking about, we were talking about hands, the weird hands that we call with, all that sort of thing. It made me think if we were to come up with, they're great names for particular hands that show up in a Texas Hold'em game, right? So if there were a Lynn Gilmartin hand, what would the hand be? And why?
Oh,
So if I were going to actually create a Lynn Gilmartin hand, what would it be? It's a weird question. I told you it was weird.
it's a okay. Well, because I have a favorite card, so it's not a hand, but my favorite card, which I only just realized this year,
Oh,
is the Eight of Hearts. Do you know why?
well, no, but you're going to tell me.
Because the eight is the infinity sign.
The infinity
Infinite
sign.
love.
Oh,
Infinite love. So Eight of Hearts is now my favorite card, and I actually have it embroidered on a hat that I always wear. So I think it would be the Queen of Hearts and the Eight of Hearts. I don't know what the name would be, but it'd be all love.
well, no, it's the Gilmartin. I went out with a Gilmartin. It's the Queen, the Queen Eight of Hearts. Now we know.
The Queen of Infinite Love. That's how I want to live my life. Am I that? No, of course not. I'm a total human being, but that's just the mantra I want to have.
Is there a poker inspiration that you would say, oh yeah, that one really, I think applies to somebody who's building something?
To not be ashamed of taking a chance, not be ashamed of failing. I don't like the word failing. Like,
right.
You need to make a mistake. You need to take a chance. Like, it's necessary for the game. Like you said earlier, you have to take risks to win the tournament. You have to take a chance in certain moments. You've got to avoid getting unlucky because that's a natural part of the game. And it's the same with taking a chance. If you just keep playing safe, you're going to create a business or you're going to play in a tournament that just blends into the crowd. It just doesn't. No, take a chance. Throw something at the wall and don't be afraid of it not working.
Right. Yeah, I think that's beautiful. And I'm going to give the poker speak that would go into that, which is win a poker tournament, you have to survive a bad beat.
Yes.
There's no way that doesn't also exist in business. I'll tell you a world poker tour story. So when I was a kid imagining that poker could be something that people would actually watch on television, and every network that eventually copied us said it was the worst idea that had ever been. Met a guy named Lyle Berman who said, I think this is interesting. And then he called me on the phone and said that he had a dinner scheduled with names that you'll know, Doyle Brunson, Chip Reese, Jack Binion, and he were going to sit down and have dinner, and I should fly out from LA into Vegas and sit down. So I called him immediately and I said, oh my gosh, of course, I'll come out. He said it was last night. I said, what? He said, yeah, it was last night. And my phone had not delivered the message for a day. So here I was looking for a way to fund this thing when networks said no, and had my chance, could go and make my pitch, do all the stuff you talked about, being genuine, be true, all of those things. And it was gone. And he said, yeah, I tried to pitch it. I think you probably would have gotten them, but I just couldn't get them. And there was no interest in doing it. That was the best bad beat of my life, because Lyle Berman then went to his company, which was called Lakes Gaming. They loved it, took it on. They changed their name to Lakes Entertainment. And so Lakes Entertainment, this public entity, got behind the World Poker Tour, had infrastructure that we never would have had otherwise, and took us public very early in the equation. But quite literally, the thing that left me, I just remember the gut punch when it hit. It's that moment that, when the one outer comes and that one card shows up on the river, and yet I don't think you and I would be talking. You would be hosting the World Poker Tour, and it would have created this global phenomenon if that bad beat had not been a part of the story.
See? Exactly. And that's also something I always live by too, is just trusting how things unfold and being okay with surrendering to the process and not dwelling. Like, okay, you've got to take that bad beat and you've just got to keep going and move on. Trust that unfolded perfectly because something better is waiting. And it just helps you let go a little, controlling what you can, but letting go of that you can't. Oh, I love that story.
Isn't that wild? I think it embodies the bad beat. You're going to have them. You may as well embrace them and honestly let them improve you, because you will be better. You'll be better, bigger, better, better.
Yeah. Right before I got my job at Crown, it was a bit similar. I was really deep in an interview process at a PR agency, which was the direction I thought I wanted to go. And I ended up being told, like, I was the bridesmaid. I was, I just missed out on the job, and I was so upset. But had I gotten that job, this whole amazing world of poker, I never would have discovered it. And it's just keep trusting that process and the way that the cards fall. Yeah.
One of my favorite thoughts and metaphors for life is that you pick a path and you start walking, and you have no idea what the other paths are that you're going to find. And it will not be the ones you think. It's never the mountain you think you're going to climb. It's never the thing. Yet you look back and just can't imagine how that weird circuitous route got you to the place that you're lucky enough to be, if you're fortunate enough to be able to feel that way.
Yes. Yes.
The WPT Foundation has raised much money, $50+ million for all kinds of really important causes. You are an ambassador of the WPT Foundation. I am fortunate enough to sit on the board, and I think it's really lovely that corporate enterprises like the World Poker Tour can do good things in the world. Tell me about some of the experiences you've had. I know you go and get a chance to play in those events, but also to see the good things that happen for places like Philadelphia.
The Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. Education Reform Now. We have a beautiful event in New York City that we've had for many years. Tiger Jam with Tiger Woods, working with the Tiger Woods Foundation. We've worked with some really amazing people making change, and a lot of them are focused on education, which is so important. And we're so lucky to be able to be in a spot in our life that we can play a game for a living, or to be able to play a game, for fun. And poker is an excellent way to raise money for a good cause.
Yeah.
I think Mike always used to say it's like the number one method of raising money, or the number one like sport that you can use, because people dig into their pockets for a rebuy. It's for the kids while having a good time. And then the change that it can make, like with millions upon millions of dollars that has gone to the hospital, that has gone to helping reform education for underserved children. And I worked with the Tiger Woods Foundation as a mentor for some of the kids that they have going through their program, and to just, they'll pair up students with people, in the workforce, to just be a mentor, to be someone that they can ask questions of. And, poker players are some of the most generous people that I've had the pleasure of getting to witness. During 2020, which in January 2020, we thought that the bushfires in Australia was going to be what marked that year on the calendar, but that was soon forgotten, wasn't it? Come March. But the bushfires that ripped through Australia were so devastating. And I started a fundraiser. I was in Melbourne at the time. I could see all the smoke coming through the city from fires that were happening miles and miles away. And so I just spontaneously started a Facebook fundraiser, for example, for the Australia Zoo, to help all of the koalas whose homes were burning down. And I called it Poker Players for Australian Wildlife. And I tweeted it out, and I hoped at the time that I put the goal as $10,000, which is a buy-in for a major poker tournament,
right?
And that hopefully I'll be able to raise that. Within 12 hours, we blew past that. I kept raising it, and within days, just from all across the planet, poker players were just sending money, and we raised 130,000 Australian dollars
Wow.
for the Australia Zoo, from poker players all around the world. And I just love to see the change that we can help make with, knowing, we're very fortunate that we can do what we're doing, and to put aside a piece to make a change is so important in whatever way that we can.
I think there's a bit of a message or formula in here that is worth trying to pull out. No matter what it is that you do, there are unique ways that it can transform people's lives. I mean, those fires were just devastating to witness as far away as I was from them. But to say, hey, we could use some help, or I can do something, to do that is rare and wonderful, and it shouldn't be so rare, because no matter who you are and where you are, you can do stuff that will make it better around you. And if there's any message at SmarterUmedia we hope we get out there, that's the one. It's sort of do something.
Just do something. And a lot of us don't, because we're scared, and it goes back again to the just trying something and to be okay with the failure, or to it not going well. Okay, if people don't hear you or listen or respond, it's okay.
Yeah.
Just be the one to start something, to say something, and you never know what kind of domino effect that will have.
Absolutely. Well, I hope we will have you back. You light up every room, and certainly today was a good example of that. So
I learned from the best, Steve. Thank you.
Yes, that's right. I'll take all the credit. It's very easy. Yes, of course you did. You wouldn't be you without me. Of course you would be you without me. But the last assignment, which you started to get in with Gabor Mate, when you talked about him, I have information coming from everywhere in my life, and I want to be better at not being overwhelmed by it, at finding things that I can trust. And so one of the things we try to do is have every one of our brilliant guests come and help us do that better. So light me up one more time.
Yeah, Gabor Mate has, I think that what he's putting out into the world is so important right now, and to help us realize that we can question what is considered to be normal, and that we don't need to follow what everyone else is doing simply because it's common. That's how I like to live my life.
I think that's great. What was the Gabor Mate book that you referred to? Is that one that was particularly meaningful, or is there another one that you would suggest?
Hold on to your kids. If there are any parents out there or aspiring parents, I think it's really, or even just, we are all children of parents. It is a really fascinating book. And The Myth of Normal, which is quite a large book. I haven't read the entire thing yet. It's quite big, but just that the whole idea of just because it's common doesn't mean it's normal.
And, he was really highlighted in a book that I enjoyed reading this year called Chasing the Scream. And Chasing the Scream has forever changed how I will look at how we handle so poorly and how we could handle people who have addictions of any kind. What a whole piece of that was talking about Gabor Mate's work. And it goes back to that, what is normal? And if we can find a way to find empathy instead of judgment, man, we've got a better world.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And understanding we're all built differently. He speaks a lot about addiction. He speaks a lot about ADHD and neurodiverse brain types, which we're discovering more and more, and it's far more common than we've realized. And the world is really built in a certain way for one type of method of thinking, but actually, and that's also something that's wonderful in the poker world, there is such a neurodivergent diversity, and we do think differently, and that's what makes the world magical.
Yeah. Amen. Well, I'm going to now just make the pitch, which is, if you haven't subscribed, if you haven't commented, then what are you doing? We have people like Lynn Gilmartin who get to come in and spend time with us and you to make your world bigger, smarter, more empathetic, and better all around. So do that. And Lynn Gilmartin, thank you for joining us today. Please come back.
Thank you so much for having me. Bye, Steve.